that fight night on December 2nd gets another crazy fight. Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum has been booked for December 2nd. And yeah, very fun fight. Very interesting matchup. Not a fight I ever thought I'd see, if I'm being honest. Like, I never thought we'd ever see a Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum matchup. It's just not a fight I've ever envisioned in my mind to ever happen. But, here we are. Kelvin Gastelum versus Sean Brady. And I'm going to be taking Kelvin Gastelum in this fight. I think this is a good matchup for him. Sean Brady's a smaller welterweight as well. Not as so like Kelvin Gastelum's probably fighting one of the smaller welterweights. Like Sean Brady's big, compact guy, but obviously short. Same around the same height as Kelvin Gastelum. So Kelvin Gastelum does a lot better against opponents his same size. Like him versus Chris Curtis, he looked really good against Chris Curtis. So that's like the first opponent he's fought in a while, and he doesn't get many of these opponents at middleweight. But yeah, the first guy he's fought that was the same height as him, and he looks good. He always looks good against guys the same height as him. Now, don't get me wrong, he also is competitive with guys much taller than him, which is which is most middleweights that he fought being much taller. But you will see that he does have the most success against guys similar height to him. Beat Ian Heinisch, who's 5'11". He did beat Jacare, but also a lot of Kelvin Gastelum's wins are against the much older opponents. But Sean Brady's only a year younger, so I don't think they'll factor in too much. And I think he can neutralize the grappling from Sean Brady. And I don't think Sean Brady can take them shots from Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum's got some really solid boxing. He's got good cardio. The only real thing about this fight is Kelvin Gastelum going to make the weight? That's the real battle here. But I think he will make it. He seems like he's taking his move down to welterweight seriously. And I really do And I really do like this move down to welterweight for him. I think it's long overdue. I think he should have moved to welterweight much sooner, but better late than never. But I think this is going to be a really good move down for him. I think he'll build a lot of momentum here with a win over Sean Brady. He's also got a longer reach, I believe, or at least the same reach. We haven't really seen him fight anybody with a similar reach to him. Obviously, Sean Brady is a grappler. So yeah, okay, so Brady's got half an inch longer reach,. Which isn't anything crazy. Kelvin Gastelum's used to fighting, you know, Israel Adesanya with an 80-inch reach, fighting Jared Cannonier with a 77-inch reach. All these guys with much longer reaches. So it is good to see him against an opponent who, he doesn't have to worry about them going out there and, you know, sitting on the outside and jabbing him up. He doesn't have to worry about that with Sean Brady. He's just got to worry for the grappling. But I think he can actually. I don't think Sean Brady's takedowns are very good. I think Sean Brady is a strong guy. He's very strong. Like he is a very strong person. You hear Paul Felder talking about it all the time. He's never felt someone stronger than Sean Brady. All of the guys at Henzo Gracie, Philadelphia will all tell you that Sean Brady is just very strong on top. If he gets you down, he can just hold you there. But I don't actually think his takedowns themselves are very good. His takedown game isn't the greatest. He does telegraph a lot of his takedowns. He'll, just his takedown game, I don't think is that good. He is strong though. That is the thing. He is very strong. But Kelvin Gastelum's also very strong. And I think Kelvin Gastelum's going to have a very big speed advantage over uh, Sean Brady here. I actually think Kelvin Gastelum reminds me a lot with his movement, sort of similar to like a Michelle Olachechik. I could see this fight just being, Michelle Olachechik sort of just breaks people down, moves forward, hits to the body, sort of, and he'll take some damage, but he will never stop moving forward. And I think that's going to be the game plan here for Kelvin Gastelum. I think he's going to try and break Sean Brady, sort of similar to how Bilal Muhammad did. I think he can stuff some of the takedowns. I think he can mix it up to the body. I think he can put an insane pace on Sean Brady here, and I think he can get the finish via TKO against Sean Brady, maybe even KO, because he has a lot more power than Bilal Muhammad, and I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. Kelvin Gastelum is levels above Bilal Muhammad in the power and in the boxing too, I'd say. Bilal Muhammad's underrated striker though. People shit on his striking, but he actually is a very good striker. And he does have really good takedown defense, so maybe Kelvin will get taken down, but I think he's got really good scrambles. His takedown defense is pretty solid, and he has been getting, he's been fighting much bigger men who I'd imagine are stronger than Sean Brady. Even though Sean Brady is a freak when it comes to his strength, I think that Kelvin Gastelum, just being used to fighting all these much bigger guys, obviously no real big middleweight grapplers, like he never fought Derek Brunson or anybody like that, but he did fight Jacare, like a decently younger Jacare. Fought He did fight Chris Weidman. He did lose that fight, but he did knock Chris Weidman down in that fight, and he was winning before he got taken down, I believe, if I remember it correctly. And then he should have beat Neil Magny as well. Neil Magny's a decent grappler, in the welterweight division, and he should have won that fight. So I honestly, I do actually really like this fight for Kelvin Gastelum here. I think he will get this one done. I'm not completely ruling out Sean Brady, but I just think stylistically, Kelvin Gastelum has a big edge here, and just is one of the perfect opponents for a guy moving down a division to fight. He's fighting a guy who has fought at lightweight in the past. I don't think Sean Brady could make lightweight now, but he is a former lightweight. Kelvin Gastelum's just been spending his career fighting massive middleweight after massive middleweight. So this will be good to see him against like a smaller welterweight, because I think he's going to shine against somebody his own size in Sean Brady. I could be wrong here. Maybe middleweight skill set isn't as good as the welterweight skill set, but I don't think that Sean Brady is the most technical guy. Like, don't get me wrong, he's got really good jiu-jitsu, but his takedowns aren't the greatest. His striking's not the greatest either. He's not got the best defense. He has been out for a while. It'll be over a year since he's fought last, but he's also been getting injured. He's been injured with groin injuries, staph infections, just so many different injuries. So it'll be interesting to see how he shows up. He could be a completely different fighter in here. Like, he can't be training and getting too much better when he's been out with so many injuries. But still, it's a very competitive fight. But I really do like Kelvin Gastelum in this fight. I've seen a lot of people saying which one's going to pull out. Hopefully, neither pull out. Kelvin Gastelum. People are acting like Kelvin Gastelum's a pull-out artist. Kelvin Gastelum is literally the guy who used to fight. He was literally Paulo Costa's like fucking tag team partner because he was always stepping in for Paulo Costa. So I don't like that people are calling Kelvin Gastelum a duck. He pulled out against Shavkat because he couldn't get medically cleared because he got headbutted or elbowed or something like that. He had a cut. That's not his fault. But I do really like this fight. On Tapology, it's 50-50. I guess that is sort of how I feel here, but I do really like Kelvin Gastelum here. But I guess we'll find out when the fight happens. But I think this is like one of his best matchups at welterweight, and I think with a win here, he'll have a lot of momentum. And then I wouldn't mind seeing Kelvin Gastelum versus Jack Della Maddalena, Jeff Neal. Like, there's just so many fun fights for Kelvin Gastelum at welterweight. I hope he can consistently make the weight. I hope he's really dialed in because Kelvin Gastelum has so much potential. Like, even now, he's 32 years old. He's been in the UFC for so long, and a lot of these, like, he should never have been at middleweight if we're being realistic. Middleweight just isn't the division for him. He's so undersized at that division, and he still had so much success. Almost beat Israel Adesanya, almost had him out, but he made a big fight IQ error, and that cost him. But the guy's fucking, he's done some big things, man. Like, for considering how much smaller he is than a lot of these guys, and he's just a fun fighter in general. So I'm really looking forward to this fight. It should be a good one. And let me just talk about that December 2nd card. So this is the card so far. I'll start with the least exciting fights. Misha Tate versus Julia Avila, that's on there. Jamie Lynn Hoff versus Veronica Hardy's on here. Now let me get into the other fights. Khalil Roundtree versus Azamat Murzakanov, amazing fight. Clay Guida versus Joaquim Silva, really good fight. Joaquim Silva had that big moment against Arman Tsarukyan, so he's probably built some name value after that, even though he's been in the UFC for years. Clay Guida also, just a beast. Everyone knows Clay Guida, absolute legend of the game. So that should be a fun fight. Then obviously Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum. Jared Cannonier versus Roman Dolidze's on this card. which is a crazy fight. Not a fight I was expecting next for either man. And then Rob Font versus Davison Figueiredo. Just a sick card. And none of them are the main event. The main event hasn't even been announced yet. I've seen some theories that people think it's going to be Juliana Pena versus, what's her name? Raquel Pennington versus Pena for the vacant bantamweight title. I could see that. I also have a feeling that maybe Armata Zukian versus Benil Dariush could main event this because I don't know if that fight's getting added to 294 or not, but I do think that fight's going to happen next. So that could also be the case. I know China is meant to be the December 9th card, which I would imagine that's going to be Peter Yan versus Song Yadong. So I guess we'll find out within time if that is the case. But still, the fact that this is like a crazy card already, and the fact the main event hasn't even been announced yet, I hope they pick a really good main event. But yeah, I do see some validity to the claim that this could be Pena versus Pennington because yeah, it would make sense to stack the card up and then have that fight, just so people tune in. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't mind Pena though. She does sell fights and her style is entertaining. It is funny as well, the way she throws punches. But it's she's actually an entertaining fighter for women mixed martial arts standards, so I don't hate it too much. It's better to main event a fight night than take up a spot on a pay-per-view card, I reckon. But yeah, still solid card. Only 7 fights announced so far, so we'll see if any other big fights get announced. But I imagine this card is probably going to be an ABC card. I can imagine this being an ABC card. They always stack the ABC cards. On Tapology it says this is going to be in Minneapolis, but that apparently isn't the case. Apparently Minneapolis is off the table. So yeah, but yeah, still crazy card. Can't wait for this one. Can't wait to see what else gets announced. Yeah, hopefully they just do some really big announcements during the week since there's no fights this weekend. So I'll have some videos, so I can make some videos on them. I'll still find out some way to get some content. I got a few lists planned and stuff like that. So yeah, just look out for them. And yeah, give if you made it this far, give this video a like. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on this fight in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with Kelvin Gastelum winning, if you got Sean Brady winning. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.